An explosive confrontation erupted at the Democratic National Convention after media mogul Oprah Winfrey obliterated Meghan Markle as a wannabe celebrity simply coding on a phony intellectual veneer, prompting the Duchess of Sussex to burst into tears while fleeing the stage in humiliation. The extraordinary public rebuke occurred as Winfrey addressed delegates gathered in Chicago for the prestigious political event. As the billionaire icon strode to the podium receiving thunderous applause, few anticipated her prepared remarks included a seismic rhetorical takedown directed at the former royal recently elevated into a primetime speaking role. Before getting underway, I feel compelled issuing a word of advice regarding the ills of society fraying at civility's very roots through rampant disinformation spread by relation-obsessed celebrities masquerading as profound thinkers despite never earning acceptance into our nation's intellectual aristocracies. Oprah began to audible gasps as footage showed Meghan's eyes widening in confused shock. We cannot afford granting D-list bottom feeders platforms exploiting our collective resources, elevating themselves into positions once required, achieving distinguished merit badges through actual lived work experiences beyond crafting concocted tales fueling niche divisive supremacy complexes. The legendary broadcast host continued scornfully, fixing her glare directly towards the squirming Duchess. You may recognize this particular renown-addicted D-lister currently standing amongst us. She who mastered revealed nothing besides launching airbrushed TV fictions devised to salvage lucrative accessory roles alongside her in-law captors. Yet somehow this pernicious wannabe smarmily self-proclaimed authority inserting onto national convention stages spouting noxious viewpoints reminiscent of history's most destructive sectarian zealots fomenting corrosive hates fracturing civic unities. As Oprah's diatribe escalated into a full-throated dressing down, cameras captured Meghan's expression turning ashen as aides flanking her whispered attempting in vain consoling the clearly devastated Duchess, who then promptly burst into tears fleeing from the arena. Even convention organizers seemed stunned into paralysis rather than interceding before the beloved American icon completed eviscerating the former royal into embarrassed humiliation. We've all endured this craven crybully's acrid sideshow, constantly injecting divisive toxicity about our national identities based on self-manufactured folklore mistruths, cultivating fictitious persecution narratives and nurturing delusional supremacist victimhood complexes amongst empathy-deficient alienated consumers, feverishly confirming self-exculpatory biases, absorbing perpetual deranged media fantasies, Oprah declared to mounting cheers and applause from delegates. Where does this repugnant charade award her undue lectern privileges, extending falsehoods, cultivating outright anarchy? The once aspiring cable princess cannot henceforth be welcomed anywhere adjacent actual substantive constitutional discourse outside fleeting momentary pity obligations. Banishing her back unto the wilderness of irrelevance represents civic obligation. By the time convention officials ushered a tearful Meghan away, permitting Winfrey ushering towards her planned address, the gathering devolved into raucous roars of emphatic ovations endorsing her fiery slapdown. Attendees described scenes of downright euphoria pouring towards the media magnate, granted rock star reverence for demolishing the Duchess' credibility while vindicating nationwide resentments harbored against perceived undeserved privilege. Hearing Oprah decimate pretentious stature peddlers masquerading as self-help empaths while spreading nothing besides endless self-obsessed toxicity felt downright cathartic. Millions witnessed this spoiled child bride receiving sorely needed disciplinary accountability for constantly degrading everyone's intelligence with perpetual repugnant fabulisms camouflaged as activism, gushed Miami delegate Cynthia Nevers. Instead of merely shrinking into irrelevance, Meghan's continual sideshow persists, corrosively undermining institutional and civic unity. In the aftermath, Winfrey articulated no regrets over her on-stage tirade against Meghan, instead fully owning and endorsing the explosive reproofs regarding Duchess' self-appointment into roles once requiring achieving formidable meritocratic milestones demonstrating meaningful contributions. According to the former talk show queen, her harsh ultimatum derived from observing prolonged manipulative publicity tactics potentially sabotaging democratic causes through association by alienating broad swaths of voters. Several high-level political advisors warned me disgraced royal dilettantes injecting themselves into the national conversation unchecked threatened jeopardizing a coalition victory, costing crucial blocs gravitating away from our policy visions, so I opted removing that menacing presence before any damage transcended the containment, Oprah revealed during backstage news conference justifying her crusade. This is America's big tent democratic tradition, commanding a diversity including every demographic apart from self-entitled aristocrats, sowing polarization through cultural privilege pathologies, corroding away our civic trust foundations. For many supporters within the party, Winfrey's dressing down represented long overdue truth to power, scolding derided as necessary message reinforcing boundaries, preserving institutional sanctity against perceived outsider interlopers. Beyond crediting heightened populist sentiments aligning with Meghan's reproach for acting beyond station, observers attributed further motivations potentially stemming from interpersonal enmities following the fallout of ceasefire collapses following their infamous 2021 interview. The world tuned in watching their supposedly heartwarming primetime puff piece turn into a full-blown bloodbath after Meghan unleashed allegations nobody could outright deny, yet Oprah most certainly couldn't directly validate either given her obligations to CBS, recalled royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliam recounting that interview's fallout. While Oprah remained outwardly diplomatic afterwards, citing production constraints requiring nonpartisan framing, behind scenes everyone recognized the depth of her exasperation over setting up her friend, only seeing those efforts promptly weaponized into irresponsible score-settling proxies, destabilizing the narrative dynamics. Speculation persists whether Meghan's cancellation arrived as long-delayed retribution payback for apparently deceiving Oprah into granting the initial platform. After Oprah invested reputational capital giving her friend a long-coveted break, forcefully telling her version of events to the world, only witnessing that abused into yet another needlessly inflammatory scandal ripping families apart, it understandably incinerated their friendship, which the media mogul likely will never forgive or forget, argued broadcaster Maureen Alit. Others, however, rejected notions Meghan actively manipulated or double-crossed Oprah in that instance, pointing out the televised confessions arrived in reaction to hastily edited excerpts already circulated extensively undermining her denials. According to such narratives, Meghan felt essentially left with no choice but to stake her claim, exposing royal family dysfunction fueling cascading repercussions for